Hello everyone, today I'm doing a book tag and hopefully this is an original book tag. This was created by my husband and myself to celebrate the return of The Expanse, the beginning of February. So this is The Expanse book tag. The Expanse is a TV series on Syfy based on the series of books written by James S.A. Corey. The first one's Leviathan Wakes, which I'm sure some of you have seen in previous videos. It's a space opera, action, zombie, political, military adventure series with some cracking characters in them. So what we did is we picked some of the main characters from the series and created questions based around the attributes that those characters have. So first up we have James Holden. He is effectively our main protagonist. He's a very loyal, honest to a fault person. Excuse me, I can hear my cat meowing. And I'm back. Right, so Holden's question is a book that deals with hard-hitting truths. For this question I picked Mort by Terry Pratchett. This is the first in the Death series, which might give you a little clue about what truth this book deals with. Death. Really good comedy set upon the Discworld, which is well worth going to check out for those of you who've never read a Terry Pratchett book in your life. I would suggest probably start with this one. It's the first one I was exposed to. The next character we picked was Naomi. Naomi is a belter within the Expanse series and she's a very complicated character. There's a lot she doesn't tell us to start off with, but she's also a very talented mechanic and engineer. Her question is a book that is full of dark secrets or even just secrets. For this question I picked Wool, which I don't actually have a copy of, so here is Wool. I can't even remember the author's name, which is terrible of me. This is a sci-fi book set in a world where the surviving population of the human race live in shelters under the ground. They're told things to keep them safe and keep things quiet, but they're not the truth. And we follow one character's quest to find out the truth and find out the real answers about what's going on and why it's going on. Our next character is Alex. Alex is the pilot of the Rocinante crew. He's a very reliable person, someone you can count upon when things go, well, hit the fan. And so this question is a book you always turn to or that you always rely upon to make you feel good. I've picked The Return of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. I read this book when I was about 13, first time round. It was actually one of the first Holmes books I read. I didn't read them in order. And this one holds a special place in my heart and I really like it. I just like the collection of short stories in here. There are some classic ones in here. I mean, obviously The Empty House. We've got The Norwood Builder in here, The Dancing Men, The Solitary Cyclist. There's Charles Augustus Milverton, The Six Napoleons, Abbey Grange and The Second Stage, some of Holmes's best cases. Our next character is Amos. Yeah, I should be really scared of Amos. He's effectively a monster upon a leash and Naomi has the other end of that leash. This question is a book that made you feel uncomfortable or took you to a place that you didn't really want to go. I picked Cross Stitch by Diana Gabaldon. It's a lovely romancy historical story for the majority of it until you get to about here-ish. And then it gets really dark and nasty and takes you to a place that I wasn't ready to go, certainly. The only reason I got through it is because of the characters within this story. Jamie Fraser is such a hero. He is really the guy that everybody wants to meet and fall in love with because he's just wonderful. He's got his flaws. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he is wonderful. So what happens to him in the story is doubly cruel because he doesn't deserve it. Our next character is the cop that everybody overlooks within the universe, and that's Detective Miller. So for this question, it is a book that is unappreciated but you love. I've gone for something slightly different here. I've picked the Beiderbecke trilogy, so that's the Beiderbecke Affair, Tapes and Connection. These are written by Alan Plater, who is a British author and playwright. For those of you who don't know, go and check this book out. It's really, really good. It's a light comedy series following two teachers as they get mixed up in things that they really have no business getting mixed up in. And they deal it within their own lovable, down-to-earth way. There was a TV series based upon these books that starred James Boland and Barbara Flynn. And it's really good, with chapter headings like, so what do we have on hockey sticks? you kind of know the humour you're in for. Bobbie, she's a character introduced in the second book, Caliban's War, and she is such a lovable character. She has got her own fan base, and we're going to be introduced to her in the start of the second season, so I'm really looking forward to seeing Bobbie on screen. So for this question, it's a sequel or an addition to a series, like a novella or short story, that you like even more than the series or just as much as the original series. For this question then, I picked The Scottish Prisoner by Diana Gabaldon again. This book is set in the middle of events in Voyager, the third book in the Outlander series, and follows the exploits of Jamie Fraser as he tries to deal with being a prisoner under basically the thumb of Lord John Grey, who is actually a pretty decent guy. He just happens to work for the British Army. And it's a really good adventure that just fits right in the middle of Voyager and gives you some idea of Jamie's life and some of the things that happened to him during that time period where Claire is lost to him. Fred Johnson, he is known as the Butcher of Anderson Station, but don't let his reputation put you off. So for this one, it's a book that you found intimidating but grew to love. I picked The Lord of the Rings for this, which might seem a really obvious answer. It's written by J.R.R. Tolkien, for those of you that don't know. I tried to read this when I was 11, 13 and 16 and couldn't get into it. I think the first I got was about chapter 6, so I really did struggle with it. It wasn't until I'd seen the Fellowship of the Ring film on video one night that I actually managed to blitz my way through all 3 books in under 2 months. So without that film, I think I would have really struggled, but I'm really glad I actually got through the book because it is really well written. It's a very good example of how to build a whole world in the fantasy realm. Christian Avasarala, she's an Earth diplomat with the foulest mouth going. So obviously this is a book that you would not share with your mum. I picked Full Moon Rising by Kerry Arthur. I was actually reading this on the beach and started blushing, at which point my father-in-law asked me what I was reading. There was no way I was going to tell him. This is a paranormal, romance, horror-y sort of series, and it's got some risque passages in. And our final character is Shed. I'm not telling you anything about him because that would just spoil the plot. So the question for Shed is, what book was over far too quickly for your liking? I've picked Winter by Marissa Meyer. Yeah, I can hear you going, why? It's a really thick book. How can this book be over too quickly? The fact is, I got through this book really fast. The action was so quick. The characters were so frenetically desperate to try and stop this war happening that, to be honest, I didn't notice how thick it was until I got to the end and realised I just read all that in like a couple of days. So for me, this was over far too quickly. It's also the last in the series. I didn't want to leave these characters. I was quite happily enjoying them, bumming around the universe, being wanted criminals and trying to solve this massive problem. So yeah, this was over too quickly. I loved it so much. So there we are. There's the Expanse book tag. I'm going to leave the questions all down below in the description if you would like to have a go, and then leave me a link. Tell me what you've done. If you've not read the Expanse books, starting with Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey, please go and pick it up. We're currently on book 6. I think there are at least 3 more to go, and they're really, really good. The new series, like I say, starts beginning of February on Syfy. Hopefully we'll get it over on the UK somewhere on Netflix shortly afterwards. If not, we're going to be importing the Blu-ray again. Yeah, enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to, give me a thumbs up if you'd like to, or leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. Bye everyone.